Okay, let's look at the interior of the car. The entire door panel, as you can see here, is leather wrapped. Okay, real leather wrapped and beautiful stitching, as you can see. And this is a new wood material that previously wasn't available, and I think the wood grain is just beautiful. This is one chunk of wood. Unlike most cars, they put one thin panel, right? A veneer they call it, but this is not a veneer. This is one chunk of raw, real, naked wood, unpolished. Beautiful. You can feel the grain. All right, beautiful metallic surface, door handles, you know, beautiful. And then of course the 19 speaker system in the car, Bowers and Wilkins. Even though this car is priced like a BMW or Mercedes-Benz or Audi, this is straight up Rolls-Royce, Bentley levels of sound system. You can only get an almost equivalent sound system in the Mercedes S-Class Coupe. Okay, yes, this is just another level. And this one single strip aluminium that runs across here all the way to that end and up there. Alright, it's a beautiful stylistic detail that runs here. As we all know, Volvo is all about quiet luxury. Alright, rich people who don't show off. They are not the new rich, as they would say. Alright, you get heads-up display over here. That's the beautiful tweeter that you will see if you purchase the Inscription Plus. Alright, very nice. The signature design of Bowers and Wilkins. And then over here, this is the center console. They didn't change what works. This is the best touchscreen in the business. It is also the best interface, but it may not be the prettiest one. Okay, let me start the car. Alright. So, let me lower the volume of air. Okay, blow it away. Okay, why I say it's the best, because it's the easiest to use when you are driving. Alright, this main screen is fixed navigation. Alright, and then your music, and then your phone, and this is your last access app. One swipe to the right is all the buttons that is single press. So remember this, you may see a lot of things here, you may be worried, right? Let me tell you one thing, back then our cars has a lot of buttons, and just think about the function. If it is an one press, single press on off function, it will be on this side, it will be here if it is a single press. And in my old Volvo, in my previous XC90, I actually moved them around to create my own preferred arrangement. So earlier on, I like to move things that are not so important down here, and then for the most frequently used ones, I put it up here, like the camera, force charging, park assist and all that. ESC sport mode, nope, not gonna use it. Only idiots switch it off in public roads, right? And lane keeping aid, bliss, all this, you don't need to switch it off. You can just leave it right there. Especially with this one now that has been updated. The lane keep assist is very neutral, very natural, right? That means when you are driving and like in some smaller roads, and sometimes you want to do a little bit of an avoidance even without signaling your car using the indicator, you want to move it a bit, it won't catch you it won't apply so much force. You know, it knows how to analyze the different scenarios. Okay, here is a very big glove box covered in felt, of course. It's a luxury car. And here you get the frameless rear view mirrors, which is beautiful. And then here, some lovely quality materials. Alright. Alright. Can you pull? No. So these are the sun visors, and these seats, these are the best seats in the business. Volvo doesn't tier their seats. Okay, remember this. To Volvo, seats are an important and integral part of safety. Right? Look at this. Since 1959. Yes, Volvo invented seat belts, and they felt this is such a great invention. They gave this patent to every single car maker in the world for free. They allow other car makers to use their patent for free. If I'm Volvo, I'll charge $1 per seatbelt to every car maker out there. Alright, I think the Americans would have done the same, but they are the Swedes, and the Swedish people are different. Alright, now these are the best seats in the business. Why I mention other car makers have tiered seats out there. You go to a BMW X1, the seat that you are sitting on is not the seat that you will get in your 3 Series. Even if you sit in your 3 Series, that seat wouldn't be the seat that you get in a 7 Series, right? But Volvo gave you the best seat. Even if you buy the XC40, it will be this seat. The best in the business, the best that they have, and to them is a safety system. Why? Because only Volvo cars design their seats with orthopedicians. So that's why a lot of people with back pain, they sit on a Volvo seat. No such issues. And not only that, at the bottom of these seats there are 2 brackets, right? That if your car, let's say you went into a situation whereby this is a real scenario, right? During an accident, certain cars roll over or they fly over a curb or something, and when the car lands, the force is so strong that they break their pelvic bone or their backbone. Right? Volvo seats are designed so that when they detected that the car has lifted off and is going to land a hard landing, the seat would actually dislodge 2 brackets to allow the seat to absorb the force and compress itself instead of sending the force through your backbone. Only Volvo does it. Nobody else does it. Alright? It's not some secret, but nobody else does it. Only Volvo. Alright? Over here you have the brand new Auraforce crystal. Brand new design. At night some little light would shine over into the crystal and then it sort of glows. But again, this is Volvo. Volvo don't how do I put this? You know, a lot of car makers now, when you got into the car in the showroom, you see a lot of lights everywhere. It's almost like a disco in there, right? Those are made to attract you to put down your booking. But they're not good for you when you're driving at night, right? When you have 1 screen, 2 screen, 3 screens all blaring at you, it actually tires out your eyes. Volvo doesn't do that, alright? Subtlety is key, right? And of course, their speedo cluster can display the GPS navigation, can display everything, but they keep it simple and easy to read because these are important information for you, and they made it really easy to read. Alright, and these are the beautiful aircon vents, you know, that looks like a turbine, you know, single blade of a turbine, right? And it's just elegant. It is just so elegant, you know, closing the air, opening up, and then up and down, left and right. It's just beautiful. In fact, this was a design by one of the Volvo designers, which is, his name is Jonathan Disley. He is also the designer that actually joined our Horizon Design Challenge, where he gave the brief to our 50 over interior designers in completing the design of applying Volvo design language into the condominium called Duduk, and people actually buy it, and the winning design firm actually got a contract. And hi to Jonathan Disley. Alright, and here in the center console you will see this cup holder. Nothing much, but one interesting thing is that, see that? So if you use your phone for navigation or other things, you'll be able to see it. But then you don't need to, because Volvo cars comes equipped with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both. Alright, it's there. Now, because this is a plug-in hybrid and Volvo doesn't place the battery in the boot, by placing the battery in the boot, first you will reduce the space that you can use. As you can see in other cars where they put it in the boot, because they weren't designed from the ground up to be, because they weren't designed from the ground up to be a plug-in hybrid car. So they placed the battery in the boot, and that reduces the boot space and also places the battery in a vulnerable position in the event of an accident. Alright, but Volvo designed their plug-in hybrid cars to have the batteries right in the middle tunnel of the car. So it's right in the center of the car. What that means is that you have a very good weight balance in terms of having significant weight placed at either ends of the car. It's in the middle, it's in between the front and the rear axle, and it's in the most protected, most secured position. That means in the event of an accident, be it from the front or the rear or the sides, the battery is protected. So that is also another important thing to take note. Alright, how much thought, process and care. But the downside of that is that you get very little room under here. Right, you can put a wallet, you can put a key, and that's about it. Right, you can run some cables off it. That's about it. Alright, you can slot your mobile phone here if it does not have a casing, but if you have a Note Plus, it will be too big. If you have a smaller phone like an iPhone or whatever, you can put it here. Right, you'll be fine. The phone will stand. Alright, and let's move to the rear seat. Oh, that's another cool function. I can do this, adjust passenger seat, and then I can move it. Why? Sometimes the seat positions are here, and then you have a taller passenger coming up to your car. You can move it, right? Or as a courtesy, you just move the seats nicely for when you pick up the lady or an old person or whatsoever. This is a very nice touch to be able to adjust the passenger seat of this car from the driver's side. Right, the only other cars that you can do this is maybe an Aston Martin, where they have the seat controls on the center tunnel. Alright, or some other cars where the seat controls are in the center tunnel. Okay, and this car also comes with a sunroof. Specs, in terms of specs, this brand new 2021 S90 T8 is full. So it's spec'd to the brim. Nothing else can be added. Alright, let's go to the back seats. I'll go through the exterior later. So that's my seating position up front, and it is one of the most spacious one in class. As you can see, I am 5'11". I still have a considerable amount of knee room. I have a lot of leg room over here. The rails of the seat to the base of the rear seat here is actually very spacious. That means I have a lot of room sitting here, and I also get the aircon vent here as opposed to there. Here is a better position to have air coming to my face, and you will also notice this is my eye level. The rear passengers actually sit a bit higher than the front, so that you get a very good visibility all round. Alright, you get very good all-round visibility, and you get a blind over here, manually operated, and these beautiful details are repeated at the back. So the leather stitches, the beautiful wood finishing, the inlays, you know, the aluminium door handles, all these are here, just beautiful. Alright, really nice material. And that's the center armrest. Okay, you get some compartments over here, shallow ones for, I think it's too narrow for phones these days. Cup holder, but this is a much better construction armrest than that of, say, some with just one cushion and two holes. Alright, and the back seats are also very comfortable. Now I have to say this, Volvo designed the seats for you to sit safely and reasonably comfortably. Some people would felt that this sitting position is a bit too upright, but it's about you and how you interact with the seat belts. Alright, so yeah, these are important. Alright, the seat belts are over here, and it's basically, even though a lot of us don't think that accidents can happen, but it does happen. Alright, and there's another thing that we have to commend Volvo for, and asking why other car makers don't do it, is this: the booster seats. How many families have children that are, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old? They are not tall enough to be in, to be using the seatbelt safely, and they're too big for car seats, and this is just not invested by other car makers. Just think about it, how much this seat would cost with the mechanism and all that, compared to a normal rear seat with just a cushion and springs in there. This would have cost a lot more, right? But they prepare it just so one day when kids are in the car, they would appreciate it. You would appreciate that this thing is here so that they sit taller, so that the seat belt, when it runs across, doesn't run across their neck, right? There are quite a number of news where it's sad. Children who are 10 years old, 11 years old, in the event of an accident, the seatbelt actually lopped their head off. I'm not joking, it's true. Alright? And here you have the ISOFIX mounts, very convenient, they're just there. And then the teethers are clearly shown, right? They're here. Okay? And yep, so this is for the middle passenger. The seat belts for the middle passengers are here, and then you have the blind that is hidden nicely there, that comes up. Okay, so yeah, I have to say there are plusher rear seats. But this is, to me, good enough, and I really like the safety stuffs that they built into the car. Okay, let's have a look at the boot. Yes, you get a powered boot, and this is the new design charger. So you have a charging place to, when you put your cables nicely, they hold it there. And the boot, if you're comparing this to the other segments hybrid cars, this certainly has the largest boot. Alright, but if you compare to the normal petrol version, this might not be the largest, but it's huge enough. Alright, it is huge enough. Okay, so close the boot. Let's have a look at the design. Alright, I love this color. This color is just a weird mixture of charcoal and grey, and it's a nice color. It is the kind of color where you couldn't really pick a name for it when you first look at it. Now they have done a full refresh. They call it the T8 all-wheel drive recharge now, and this new tail lights is more 3D, and the lines are slimmer, and it just makes the car look sportier. Alright, lovely. This runs across, and you have a chrome line running underneath, and these new wheel designs are also really good looking. Laser cut two-tone, and of course these are color coded as well with the body color. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, the key uses the same leather as the seats. The only car maker that does that. Alright, so this is the new front. They have cleaned up the design a lot. Alright, the previous one has a lot of lines running across, and they've cleaned it up. and I think it looks really good now. And of course the grille, now you have the concave vertical lines, which is a hallmark of Volvo, going back to the P1800, and it's a very good looking car. Sporty proportions. As you can see, it is a front wheel drive car. Of course this one is all wheel drive because it's plug-in hybrid, but you look at where the firewall is, the distance between this, the base of the A pillar, and the wheelbase, the front wheel track. This distance is of a very rear wheel drive kind of sporty sport sedan proportions. So the proportion of this car is just perfect. Short front overhang, right? The front wheel track is further away from the base of the A pillar, and then it's just a beautiful proportion at the back. And I especially love this detail here, this part that comes in like that. I think this is really beautifully done. Okay, it's a good looking car. The subtle ducktail spoiler, the back of the boot, just nice. The previous one they added a ducktail, but this one is fused together. Really beautiful car. Yep. And after adding all these things, full spec, 407 horsepower, 640 Newton meters of torque, it is only 330,000. Yes, 330,000 only for its full spec a segment that is the executive class. Right, I think this is a bargain. It is still the best buy in the segment. Alright. It may not be the flashiest, it may no longer be the newest in the market, because all its competitors has launched their newer models to challenge this. Alright, that's the S90. Oh, another thing, every single Volvo is equipped with cabin air filters that is laboratory grade. Yep, they're air filters filtering air that comes in from outside to inside the car. It is certified to even filter out bacteria and all that stuff. And every day you reach home, you park your car, you switch off the car, right? Every single Volvo since the late 90s, right? They will recirculate the cabin air, basically to pump it out and pump in fresh air. Yeah, that's what they usually do. And my previous 2 years of ownership, having an XC90, they basically, I think it cured my sensitive nose. Yep. Alright, such a wonderful car. Very subtle, very high class. You know, just think about an interior design that is clean and subtle versus an interior design that is flashy, chandeliers, you know. Yeah, that's the kind of old luxury. This is new luxury. Quiet, subtle. Cheers. These new generation Volvos, look at it, it just sits on the outer wheels and then it just tracks its lines so well without additional rebounding from the suspension. It's just beautiful. The way it has been calibrated for enthusiastic driving is just great. Why? Because the chief engineer in charge of all Volvo cars now for handling is actually a Porsche Carrera Cup racer and a champion as well. I forgot his name, sorry, but that's the reason why all these new generation Volvos, they handle well. They drive really well. Of course, I hope this car has paddle shifters, but if your transmission is well calibrated enough, is smart enough, and you have the torque feel from the hybrid motor, you don't really need to shift gears, because you brake and then all this comes in, and downshift, you put your foot on the throttle, you don't need to make sure you are in the correct gear. Why? Because the electric motor will always fill in the torque required. And that's why at any speeds, you put your foot down, the car just immediately accelerates, almost like a CVT, right? But of course, for really a large kick down, then the difference between the turbo and supercharger coming in already versus before they come in is of course noticeable, because however much the electric motor can torque fill, there is a limit to how much it can fill, right? Because there's a capacity. The electric motor of course isn't as powerful as both the forced induction units kicking in, one after the other, right? So it's a great drive, and I can see a lot of improvement in soundproofing. So in the previous S90, the pre-facelift one, when it came out, it's brilliant, but everybody can tell there's in terms of soundproofing, it couldn't match the 5 Series, the G30 5 Series, right? But this facelift, there's barely a noticeable difference between this one or the 5 Series or the E-Class. They are there, and all the Audi A6 for that matter. And in terms of interior interior design, I still do think that this is the one that pleases my eye. What's that lady doing? I thought, okay, she went back in. Alright. One thing that I felt is something that they could have easily done, but they did not, is the speedo cluster. You know, yes, from day one they have spec a speedo cluster that is high resolution enough, and it's a Volvo thing to not have overtly flashy visuals. You know, overly flashy visuals just makes reading more difficult. Try that in the new Mercedes-Benz cluster. There's just so many things going on, and it's very attractive, but it's somewhat not logical, right? That you can accidentally adjust both dials to fuel consumption, both dials showing fuel consumption, and no dials at any given point is showing the required information, because they let you toggle everything. Whereas Volvo just design it in a way that is super clear, the legibility is really good, and it's easy to read, and they keep it that way, right? So it's more like a control environment. You can think of Mercedes-Benz like an Android. This one is an Apple, you know, it's so fixed, right? But from 2014 until now, given that this is an LCD, Volvo could have easily designed or give it a refresh or an update, you know, that looks different. It's a good and bad thing, you know. The good thing would be it attracts people in showrooms. The bad thing would be the other owners who bought this before this would want that as well. Say, hey, it's software, why can't you load it for me, you know? So I think Volvo should design some different skins, right? Let's say I go into drive mode, I go into individual, or I go into power. You know, there should be some different skins that can change. Yeah. Other than that, the updates, I would say, are minimal. Batteries are larger, and the range is better. The car is quieter, and the design outlook has been refreshed. And yeah, specs, it has always been full spec, so there's nothing to add here. Yeah, it has gone full spec since day one. So another calibration that they've done is the brake pedals. It's a constant improvement. I noticed that. Right. So it dries very naturally now, compared to when this model first came out. Yeah. It's such a joy to drive. The steering weighting, I really love how, I've mentioned this a few times, the way they weighted the steering wheel is very, very well judged. It's not overly light, it's not overly heavy, it's just right. The size of the steering wheel handle, the girth of the steering wheel is also just perfect. See that? It lights up. And most 360 cameras don't provide such a far away view. Alright? And one last thing, this touchscreen, most touchscreens are capacitive, right? Most touchscreens are capacitive, which means if you're wearing a glove, it doesn't work, right? But a Volvo's, look at that, I'm using my mask. Interesting, right? Cheers.
Save about 500 bucks. It save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
4,000.
215, even more.
It's worth for 200 plus. 400 bucks of savings.